Hello, everyone, to Gen AI Con Marketing. I'm delighted to have Antoni Kozelski joining us and really looking forward to your talk. I'll pass it over to you to do a brief introduction on yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me as a speaker. So if I can share my screen so I can just go straight to the point and cover also my introduction about myself. So let me just share my screen. Please let me know if you can see right now my screen.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So let me just, yeah, okay. So I'm Antoni Kozelski. I'm CEO and co-founder at Vistorm, Ventures 21, and probably author of Personal Energy OS digital course. So my main company, which is Vistorm.co, it's a AI development company. We mainly focuses on development the application using and utilizing large language models. So this is our text-based, let's say, specialization and also experience. So the second company, which is Ventures 21, it's a venture builder where we help early stage startups to build their AI solutions and also move strategically from the point 0 to 1. So where 0 is probably 0 and 1 is funding, product market fit, team, as well as revenue. I also passionate about personal energy, so probably managing my personal energy, and I have structured this in digital course. So if you would like to learn more, so probably you could go to my personal website, which is my name, surname.com, and check more about it. But today's meeting is about large language models, and I also cover probably practical side of integrating the AI on. I still believe it's an early stage for this market, and market is still adopting this kind of technology, and I will tell you why. Before we will start with the more practical things, so I would like to move with the very basics as well as probably fundamental things. So what is LLMs? So this is an AI model which is has natural language processing based on very big bench of data, text-based data, and also semantically understanding. What does it mean? So that means that we have a simulation of human brain, I would say, which is understanding what we are talking to it and giving us answers with a sense, and also semantically understanding what is our intention, etc. So there are two main elements of philosophy for AI. So the first is probably pessimistic, which is replace humans and live without any job for them in the future. I think it's not so true. And the second one is to give human a chance on focusing on more strategic and what we do really love and enjoy doing at work and in our lives. So I think I'm more focusing on optimistic one because we do use all of those elements for LLMs, and I believe it's optimization of many processes, which is routine process, which is administrative tasks, etc. So then if you are starting working with ChatGPT or any other large language model in your organization, so probably you know that it could give you more space for strategic thinking instead of administrative tasks. There are two main focuses for those AI model, text-based models. The first one is main sphere is hyper optimization. Of course, we are talking about only text-based models. And the second one is personalization, because having all of data which is connected to large language model, we may have semantically analysis as well as personalization of any content, translation, or any other experience for brands who will utilize this in the nearest future. So there are I believe 7 elements of those main goals of large language model. The first one is conversational AI. I think it's the most popular at this moment because more and more people are starting using and utilizing ChatGPT in their maybe private life or just working life, just using OpenAI's application. So it might be utilized in scope of marketing. It's more focused on customer service, customer support, sales, marketing, help desk, recruitment, HR, etc., etc. So the main idea is to ask something and get answers based on the intention of asking the question and based on data we have in learned the large language model. The second one is summary and analysis, which has many manipulation with text as a summarization and probably understanding deeply than just looking at the data, understanding why this data appears here, what is the main goal of analyzing this data, and may give you some summarization based on those reports or maybe some complex documentation. So the good example, I believe, here would be some complex reports or maybe some complex documentation for medtech startups or any other medtech companies that requires a lot of unstructured data, that has a lot of definitions, maybe specific definitions, etc. Instead of looking by keywords, what we actually are using right now is just a keyword-based searching and information, that we may have summary and analysis with a large language model. And when we are typing our I would say request for a certain information, so we also the large language model understood why we are typing this kind of information, what our intention, etc., etc. The third one, which is, I believe, revolutionary one, is semantic searching. As I mentioned, the main probably approach at this moment is keyword-based searching. At this moment, semantic searching could also be utilized in any searching bar, searching system, searching optimization system, etc. So it's also a good chance for any e-commerce shops, or maybe some huge amount of data, such as digital libraries, some archives, etc., or maybe research as well. So it helps to get more accurate information very, very fast, and it will be more relevant to your question. Semantic translation, this is the next element, which is probably revolutionary one, because it's also helping companies and individuals to make translation better and more useful, I would say, because it also takes into the account cross-cultural communication. And you could utilize this as a just simply translate your website based on geolocalization of users who will go to your website, make some translation of complex documentation one more time for medtech maybe, or hospitals, or any other that may require a lot of data or a lot of specific translation. It might not be translated with the keyword-based translation as good as it will be translated with semantic translation. The next one is predictive analysis, which is probably the main goal, is just to, based on previous data or historical data, the large language model will include in their learning process to have some forecasting, nearcasting, or even personalized recommendations. So it might be utilized in almost every sphere, every industry, and it's very helpful. Synthetic data, I believe for text it's less relevant as for images, but nevertheless, so you could try to, with this sphere, you could try to generate synthetic data for specific needs. Such a need might be appear when you will learn your or teach your large language model to improve, to personalize it, etc. So then you would like to simulate or maybe generate more data to make bigger bench of data for learning the large language model. And of course, probably one of the most popular also is code generation, so just creation and code reviews. Where are we now at this moment? So at the very beginning, I mentioned that most of us trying to utilize it at this moment, but unfortunately, on the business level, only 1/3 are utilizing or already deployed some projects or some large language model into their processes to optimize or personalize it. So as you may see that almost 70% did not try even deployment into their processes or into their organization, or on the stage of piloting, so which is very, very initial. And once this is data based on Gartner's marketing survey. So the future is very exciting. It includes a lot of crazy and maybe less crazy things. So I think this is something that I thought quite a lot past months. The first maybe main point that AI in the future will be able to make some tasks. So that means that right now we have more like informative stage, and as the next stages, maybe 5 to 6 or 7 or 8 years, the AI will be able to make tasks instead of us, so such as maybe more simpler operations, but nevertheless, so it's going to be true. So I also think that in the future, there will be a virtual brain and all kind of organization which will be more competitive and efficient and productive. They will need to have their own asset, which is large language model combined with others AI models, and it will be, as you can see on the picture, some kind of virtual brain, and probably people and human will be helping them to this virtual brain to serve it and probably running the business. So what is virtual brain? So I think it's some kind of asset that will be trained on specific data on this organizational historical data and this specific niche, this specific industry in this specific time, etc. So it will know probably everything that it should know to make very efficient decisions and also to make tasks. I also think that in the near future, even on annual financial statement, that we might have an additional section of assets for AI models. So probably if we are trying to, or maybe adopting this in the first stage, so probably we are not thinking about creating something from the scratch, because why we need to create something from the scratch if we have already created such application as in different models, so maybe as software as a service or just OpenAI. So probably this is a huge model that will be more efficient than more raw models that you might find on the internet as an open source. But anyway, in the future, so I believe every organization will need to have their own model, which will be combined and it also includes large language model. There will be also new positions such as model owner, which is probably similar to product owners, and we will shift our mindset from operating and maybe administration to more strategic activities, thanks to integrating of those AI models that will be able to make some more and more operating administration tasks. But nevertheless, so we will need to take care about security and our data that we will also give to AI model and make this as on a separate environment and probably disabling from the internet. I mean, disconnecting this from the internet. And this is the second part, which is more practical. So probably how to start utilizing the large language models and AI in general. So I thought quite a lot about this, and I found a few methods. So probably you could see before a framework or just cycles of hypes as Gartner or McKinsey or someone from their organization previously described. So there are cycles of hypes, and I also found that the most important at this stage is not to have a right mindset and build also awareness. So the first one, the first very, very important element is just to make the correct mindset and build awareness about this. So yes, this is a chance that appears probably once a decade or maybe longer or shorter, and you need to take competitive advantage and probably utilize your opportunities. But on the other hand, don't set an unreal expectation. So just follow your real expectations. Do not follow the hype wave. So it's not a silver bullet. So probably it won't solve all of your problems here in your organization. And at the first, very initial stage, I will tell more about this in next stages. It's something that should be done at the first stage as a semi-manual or maybe manual even task for your team, just to make sure that you are also mitigating all of your risks that you might have during working with any AI models. It doesn't really matter if it's large language model or any other, maybe some for audio, video, images, etc. To utilize it right, so you also need to understand how it works. So very basics of how works large language model, what it is, how it could be utilized, make your research, maybe find some courses. So it's really worth to spend some time on understanding the basics. I'm not talking about the engineer schemes or maybe engineering approach, how to develop this from scratch, but you need to understand how what is the thinking style of large language model, what dependencies of for large language model. It could has biases as humans, right? So probably it's not a silver bullet yet. So think also about your company assets. So in the long term, of course, in the short term, so the goal is just to start adopting the technology, which is good enough at this stage. But in the future, if you would like to think in the long term and build the company value, so you should think about the any AI models that you would like to implement and spend some time and money on it. You should think as an asset about it. So it's something that probably investors in the future will expect, that you have something unique that will help you to beat the competitive market and improve your efficiency and stay alive even in, or build your crisis resistance and stay alive in the very hard times. So yeah, so the second element, which is also very important, so make your own research. So don't rely on many experts or fake experts on the internet or on LinkedIn. So when hype became probably when hyper, or let's say those experts that feel that they can earn money on it, so everyone is just talking about AI. So if you look at every post on LinkedIn, so probably every third post will include hashtag of AI, generative AI, etc. So just make your own research and start with some basics, fundamental things, such as understand and learn case studies of other companies, maybe your competitors, or maybe some other companies, your friends, your colleagues who integrated before or started this journey before you. So talk to them, learn how it works, learn what are the risks, make your own research. So don't rely on the first generated by ChatGPT article you will find on the internet, because it's simply something that it's not professional, I believe, and it's not a deep understanding of it. It's just a high level information that you could probably get from the ChatGPT or any articles on the internet, which is not professional. also start with discovering what kind of use cases with the large language model could be addressed in your company. There is also a great framework, I believe, in some you could find on the internet, how to make a priority of those use cases and what, because prioritizing use cases, you might think also about, is it feasible at this moment? Do we really need, as a company, to cover this use case? What would be the goal? So what would be the ROI? And who will do this, right? So I'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's also important information. So you could find and make like maybe matrix about use cases. So what could be addressed at the first, as a first tier, what is the second, and etc. I would really recommend to start with the designing manual process or semi-manual. By manual, I'm not thinking about that to put in someone and tell everyone that we have AI chatbot for customer support, but in fact we have like the other guy on the other end is chatting with all of our customers. So I'm not talking about it, but I'm talking about something that could be controllable by your team, and you have also overview and have an idea how accurate and how good or bad it works for your business, for your company, and for this particular use case. So there are still a lot of biases, there are a lot of hallucination, it's called more professional, let's say, in ChatGPT or large language models. So as a company owner or manager, you would like to have control of it and understand how accurate is it. Before you will start developing, so you should start with some homework. So the homework is goals and KPIs, dedicate a responsible team member, think about improving the existing process, not to redesign this or transformation of it. So start with the very, very small steps to understand how it works and make experience on it. So don't hurry up in this case. I mean, in this particular stage, it's not the matter who will be the first and who will be the first who will own this kind of so great technology, but it's more about how efficiently and controllable you will be able to utilize all of technologies that are available on the market at this moment. So going to the first element, which is clear goals and KPI. So having in mind that you need to, so as an end goal, so it should gives you personalization, which is improving your customer experience, or optimization, so or reducing the cost, or probably improving the efficiency and productivity, and maybe generating you new revenue. So there are two spheres. So try to crystallize your goals and also set KPIs for it, just to make sure that after the beta testing in your organization, you are ready for expanding the service, the technology. What I also recommend is to dedicate AI guy for this particular use case. It could be simply sales, or maybe in marketing department could be simply like digital marketing specialist who will be responsible for this sphere, and will be also controlling the system, the accuracy, and reporting to you. So one more time, so don't try to reinvent the process just to try to improve the existing process. The next stage would be redesign this process to make AI in the center of all of those processes. But the first stage is very simple. Just start with the improving existing process. Start also promoting AI first culture. So that means that start talking to people about it, start to motivate them to use AI, because every change is probably change. And I think people are afraid of that fact that maybe AI will replace them in the near future. They won't have money for paying their mortgage, etc. So it's not the case. I believe that human who will use AI will beat those people who are not using AI. So it's not a matter of replacing people in general. And of course, take into account risks that might appear and how to mitigate them, and probably what will be the process of mitigating those risks. So what this dedicated AI responsible team member should do, and with who he or she should speak about those risks and how to report them to your team. And probably the last one is probably starting. So think big, but start small. One more time, start with the proof of concept, or MVP is the perfect beginning. Don't start with a huge long-term project, which will you will spend all of your budget in your department or your organization, and it will be like years of development. Start with something simple. Start with APIs you could utilize tomorrow, just a matter of connecting the API, and focus on the value it could bring to your organization. Finding the right partner is also a very important thing. So if you will have partner who will help you with learning how it works, and also help you to understand how should looks the process in your organization of integration, and start with those use cases, help you prioritize those cases, help with the project development, etc. So that would be a great partner who probably might have a chance to build a successful project for you and help you improve your operational activity. Starting also include the stage with choosing the right large language model. Currently, we have quite a lot more and more models accessible on the market under open source license. So that means that you might utilize them in the business probably at this moment, and you won't pay for any license. But every single model is absolutely different. So this is pretty the same as to say that I need like shoes, that's it. But what is the goal for these shoes, right? Are you running or walking, or you are doing some specific activities? So you need to find the right shoes that you will probably wear for the next like years, I believe, right? So design right library of prompts. So this is another very important element, which is improve and probably depend on accuracy. I mean, design right prompts with the right large language model will give you an accurate results. If you will make all of work around, but you won't focus on design the right prompt, so you will not be able to get the right results. And the very, very last is a short instruction and teach your team how it works and what are the risks. So pretty the same. I want to underline that risks are very, very common, but benefits are overcoming risk for sure. So you should start utilizing it. A few case studies that I want to show you how it probably works and how we integrated this into our customers. So the first is we work with an e-commerce shop which has 28 locations over the world. They, of course, in different time zones, different languages, and they have different sales team with different product catalogs. And the challenge was that they had quite a lot repetitive requests from the customers. So customers sent a lot of emails about the information which is accessible on the internet. It was just a matter of finding the right information and giving them this kind of information. So we integrated the AI chatbot into their e-commerce platform, and right now they are able, those sales team are able just with one click prepare a response for answering the repetitive requests. So that, of course, save time for sales team, and it allows them to focus on very, very key accounts and to bring the biggest value they could probably generate for the company. The second case is translation, which is more personalized cross-cultural translation of psychometric measurement test. So there is a client who has a platform with the psychometric measurement test in different countries with different languages, and it has quite complex report with more than like thousands of words in every report, very specific with some definitions, and they wanted to reduce time and budget they spent on cooperation with native speakers who serve their country for these reports. As a result, so just integrating ChatGPT simply API, we got quite good results. So it was, one more time, just one click to translate a language. So it's also scalable for future expanding their services and their tests in countries. And we also saved approximately 80% of time and money for the owners of this product. So they're quite happy with this, and we're also exploring new opportunities for their businesses. That's all from my side, on my side. So here you can find a QR code. You could add me on LinkedIn. I usually post quite a lot on large language model topic and integrating, embedding this into businesses. And also the 2 free consultation I will be able to give to someone who will just add me on LinkedIn and let me know on a direct message that you would like to have such kind of a consultation, explain more what is the topic about. So
thank you so much for your presentation. I really agree with your approach. There's a flood of information, and so your very sort of practical approach to doing things without blowing a budget, without following snake oil salesmen is incredibly wise. One of the things about large language models is it seems to be very good at dealing with unstructured data. And we've got a lot of structured data in companies, you know, CRMs, and there's a lot of manual work that goes into maintaining these databases, whether you're in the sales team or whatever team you're in. There's a lot of data management. Have you seen any good examples of this where companies are using AI to deal with a lot of unstructured data and get really rich insights from that?
yeah, absolutely. So I think this is probably one of the best things that appears here, that you could work with unstructured data. This is absolutely new technology which uses like vector databases from the technical perspective, from the business perspective. So I believe there are a lot of elements that could be included here, so such as maybe research. So this is quite complex, right? And maybe some kind of documentation. Sometimes, I mean, in the real world, the documentation is still unstructured data, right? So you need to find fast and quite efficiently. So this is, I believe, the pretty simple cases, but helpful, that could reduce a lot of time for searching this kind of information. And using or probably working with unstructured data, you could also have some summarize and also analysis of this data, because it's probably simulating how our brain works. So that means that when we look at unstructured data, so we are trying to understand the context, right? So that's pretty the same that a large language model does with unstructured data, trying to understand the context and the meaning of it.
And could you briefly just explain, just at a very high level, we'll have to do a deep dive workshop on it at some point, what a vector database is and how that differs to other databases?
Yeah, so vector databases, so it allows to have unstructured data, so probably it's replacing like traditional databases, and it will be helpful for any large language model that we need to connect with this kind of information. So there are a lot of opportunities, and this is one of the options to have unstructured data. So you don't really need once you have a strong large language model that analyzes the data and have probably learned a lot of information before, you may give them unstructured data, and the only probably ways to using vector databases, which is probably not SQL or any other traditional one.
And in terms of choosing, if you're looking at large language models and you're an enterprise, you've got your own, maybe you're in healthcare or insurance or in finance, and you've got data internally, so you want to fine tune a large language model, what would be your advice there to also keep the cost down?
Yeah, I think that choosing the right large language model is very, very important. As you mentioned, that you might have different industries, different use cases, and probably your roadmap will be unique as well, right? So I would suggest to start with understanding what is the strategy, what is the roadmap, and probably what is your expectation, right, in the near future. So because at this moment, the very simple approach is just to connect any existing large language model just to test it on the organization. But in the long term, it will be an asset, and I believe that choosing the right probably fundament will give you you opportunity to utilize the full power of a large language model as well as reduce costs. So every single large language model is different. It has different structures, different data, different architecture, different probably other aspects that was initially developed by other teams. And to understand it, so I think it's very, very difficult to understand on a high level what kind of large language model. So that's why probably I'm not able to answer for, of course, for any cases. But I think the raw models which has created for future fine-tuning or teaching the AI for specific niche or specific industries will be necessary for this kind of cases. So in a very short, so you need to find the most flexible large language model to teach and work on them. So I don't recommend to use Google solutions such as Vertex AI for long term. Of course, it could work for a short term, but in the long term, so the costs will be high, even if you won't invest a lot of money at the beginning, but in the long term, it will be more and more money, and probably you will have still limitation, and the cost of changing the large language model will be very high because you already invested it and probably you are the owner, but you cannot take this out, right? So the only way you could probably decrease your cost, the only way you could do this by using it less. That's the only option.
Wow. So you're pretty much tied in as soon as you've decided on a model. If you start training it with your data, you'll have to go back to square one if you want to change large language model.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a very, very important consideration. And of course, you've got Microsoft and OpenAI over here. You've got Google, you've got Amazon who are coming in. You've got Facebook Meta over there, and then you've got open source. And I think that the reason why we've got such a big boom that's going on now is not because this technology is new. This technology has been around for a while. It's just that the open source technologies have emerged. Would you say that that's a correct assumption, or why would you say now is a time that everyone's talking about AI? Is it just ChatGPT that has sparked this momentum, or is there something else that's going on?
I think there are a lot of factors. So I think the biggest one is that infrastructure. I mean, our general infrastructure. I'm not talking about like AWS or Google Azure, etc. I'm talking about the generally that we as a human were prepared to try to learn something about the AI in general, and all infrastructure such as Hugging Face, some AI models, some open sources, and ChatGPT just launched in a very good moment and did a really great work if we are talking about marketing, etc. So it's a really great approach. So I think that all of those facts just connected to the one point that right now we had a wave of hype with the AI, and more it was like a I would say, improving, or the hype of waves. So more and more people started to engage in those community, and the more people engage, the more people engage. That's how it works at this time. So I believe the biggest thing was that we had prepared all infrastructure around it, and ChatGPT or probably OpenAI just shoot in the right moment with their product.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time. It would be great to have you come back and do another talk very soon. And I'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope it was helpful for you guys.